Right, so before we do Mario and Luigi, I'm going to be talking about Futurama for the next, I don't know, 30 to 60 minutes. This is basically just an excuse for me to geek out about like my absolute favorite like media or favorite piece of media of all time. Like Futurama is like my favorite show. You might think, oh, One Piece is his favorite. No, it's Futurama, but One Piece is a close second because Futurama, like I love The Simpsons. It's really funny, like the first several seasons, the golden era. But Futurama kind of hits different in that sort of special way. I can't quite explain it, but it's something that I have, a lot of like fondness for, and it's something that even if the show's quality kind of wavers as it goes on, as it keeps getting, brought back from the dead, I will continue watching it. Like I still enjoy it for what it is, even if it's not as good as what it used to be. Like I don't know, the last couple Disney Plus or Hulu seasons were not that great, unfortunately. But there's always hope that they can bounce back. I mean, who knows? There's going to be a new season coming out this summer, so I'm going to have my fingers crossed for that. But yeah, basically what we're doing is, I don't know if anybody here knows the YouTuber called LS Mark, who does like they do like video essays about like cartoons and shit, but they also do like these massive videos where they basically do quick and dirty reviews of every single episode of a TV show and just put it all in one video. They did one for Futurama over the past week or so, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this, and I enjoyed it overall. Like, I don't agree with everything he said, but I did agree with a good chunk of it, and it kind of got me in a bit of a Futurama mood. I haven't been watching Futurama again since, although I might binge it at some point, but I do want to talk about, you know, my personal thoughts on the series, and what better way to do that? Let me get it up on the screen here, hang on. I'll get some music going. So what better way to do that than, here it comes, a tier list. So I was looking around the tier maker website and I found this particular tier list, which, you know how tier lists work, right? You just put like things in certain tiers depending on like S being the best and F being the worst. Okay, you can see my cursor, perfect. So here is every single episode of Futurama, sorted by season. I'm going to be trying to go through these as quickly as possible. And yes, it even includes the Disney Plus / Hulu seasons from the last couple years. I'm going to turn the volume of that down just a little bit. 1 second. Right, there we go. So I'm just going to have some background music going on while we do this. Actually, I'm going to turn that down just a tiny bit more. I don't want it to be too overpowering while I talk about my thoughts. But yeah, the focus for the next hour or so is just going to be me talking about my thoughts on Futurama. It's probably just going to be me rambling like a madman, but hopefully, if nothing else, this will prove to you guys how much I fucking love Futurama. And, like, I wish I could stream more Futurama content in general, because it's like, there's only one Futurama video game on PlayStation 2, and I streamed that years ago. I mean, technically there's another Futurama video game, but it's like it's a freemium, free-to-play mobile game where you can buy in-game currencies and shit, and it's like, nah. I think I'm good on that. Futurama deserves better than that, frankly. Like, fucking Simpsons gets, like, 24 different games, some of them really good, like Hit and Run, and Futurama just gets that, and it's like, come on now. In a way, though, I'm kind of glad that Futurama has kind of got a bit of an underground following, because I feel like I'm part of a special club, even though in recent years it's not so special anymore, but that beside the point. Right, so let's get started here. So I'll try to be as coherent as possible, but probably not going to be all that coherent at all, so let's get started. So, Space Pilot 3000. Are you going to try the Simpsons game? I would like to stream it, but I need to hook up my Xbox 360. Like, I do have a copy of that game. Right, so I'm going to put this in... I think I'm going to drop it in A. Like, it's a really good pilot episode. Like, the quick and dirty version is that it, like, gets you... Like, a good pilot episode of a TV series, especially, like, one like this, where it's, like, got a quote-unquote continuous storyline going on, is basically introducing you to the bare basics in 20 minutes or less. And I feel like Futurama does that really well. Like, it introduces you to the protagonist, you know, Philip J. Fry, what happens to him, how he gets to where he is, like he gets sent to the future because of an accident in the, you know, the lab. And then you get introduced to some other secondary characters, and then, you know, the basic foundation is set. Like, he works with Planet Express and that. So it's a pretty good starting episode, I feel. God, am I really going to be speaking for the next hour or so? My throat's going to be sore by the end of this. Right, so the series has landed. I'm already kind of not sure where to put this one. I'd say B for now. I might change my mind, but it's a pretty good, like, follow-up episode where, you know, the Planet Express does their first delivery since Fry, Leela, and Bender get recruited into the company. You also get a brief introduction of, like, the other characters working at Planet Express. You get Amy Zoidberg and Hermes, although they don't get much screen time except for Amy because she, for some reason, tags along on that mission. But yeah, it's just a fairly solid episode, I would say. Episode 3, I Roommate. C or D, maybe? Yeah, I need to think about this. I'll put it in the middle. C. That seems like a decent... Yeah. It's not a fantastic episode by any means, but it does, like, you know, put down... How do I word this? It basically hammers down another element of the series, like, where does Fry live? Because for the first couple episodes, he's living in the Planet Express company building, which obviously he shouldn't be. So it's like, okay, you need a place to live. And then Bender's like, why don't you come over to my place, like to my apartment in the robot apartment building? And at first it seems like it's not going to work out, because if you see that tiny picture there, like, it's a tiny cubicle. But things kind of resolve by the end of the episodes after a bunch of stuff happening, because they figure out, oh, there's like a quote-unquote closet, which is a gigantic room where Fry can properly live in, so he just lives in there instead. So yeah, it's kind of weird how they, like, go about it, like, in weird ways to, like, actually resolve the conflict, but again, it kind of sets the status quo going forward. What does that say? It's, sorry, tiny text. Love labors lost in space. I'm gonna put it in B, because it's not the best episode, but it introduces Nibbler and, of course, Zap Brannigan. Oh, hey, it's Cuphead music, nice. I haven't, like, vetted this playlist. Like, I just found a playlist of, like, video game music just to put in the background while we're doing this. So, it's a decent episode. It sets up Nibbler, like I said, you know, like a character that's going to end up being very important to the storyline going forwards. And, you know, Zap Brannigan, he's just a joy on screen every time. Fear of a Bot Planet. I'm going to put this in C. It's an okay episode. They basically make a delivery to the robot planet. And a good chunk of the episode is basically just robot and machine jokes. And I'm not opposed to it. It's fine. But there's not a whole lot of meat on the potatoes of that episode. A Fistful of Dollars. I'd put this in A. This is a pretty good episode. I'm not going to explain... Do I have to explain every single episode? If I do, I'm going to have to, like, be very fucking quick about it, otherwise we're going to be here for... Good lord, there's so many of these. We're going to be here for the next, like, 10 hours. But yeah, I'd say that this episode in particular, you know, plays with the idea about, like, Fry living in the past because he hasn't quite gotten over, like, basically going forward 1,000 years. But it also introduces Mum, which is like another great character to the series, so I'm all for it. My Three Sons, B. I'd say B for that one. It's a decent episode with a lot of good jokes. Episode 8, a big piece of garbage. I'd also put this in B. This is a decent episode with some good jokes in it. And I think this episode introduces Wernstrom! Episode 9, Hell is Other Robots A. Easy A for that one. Like, that one introduces the robot Devil, played by Dan Castellaneta. Really fucking good episode. Again, joy every time he's on the screen. Like, he's just so fucking good. Episode... Hang on a second, I'm trying to read that under my cursor. Episode 10, A Flight to Remember. B on that one. It's an alright episode, it's decent. Definitely plays with the idea of, like, Fry and Leela's relationship. And also, I think establishes the relationship between Amy and Kif, which is also kind of cool, because that's kind of the status quo going forwards. Mars University. I don't hate this episode, but it feels like one of the weaker episodes, so I'm going to put that down in B. Like, it's fine for what it is. But besides the novelty of, like, the monkey that speaks because he's got a hat that makes him speak English or whatever, there's not a whole lot going on here. From my understand, this episode is largely a parody of a movie called Animal House. I've never seen it myself, so it doesn't really do much for me. I'm not one of those people that watches it and I'm like, oh, Animal House, I know that! So yeah, I think that's a big part of why I just think it's okay. When aliens attack, I'm going to put this in... B or C? I'm going to put that in C for now. I might change my mind on that one. I think what I love about the episode is just how he goes on about his pin. Wait, what are you talking about? Anyway, this episode is alright. It's just, this episode introduces the Omicronians, which is like an alien race that likes to take over other planets, basically. And through a bunch of circumstances, they want to take over Earth because their favourite TV show, which was broadcast 1,000 years ago on Earth, did not finish because Fry fucked up 1,000 years ago, where he, like, basically halted the broadcast when he made a delivery there. Like, it's kind of weird, but it's funny. A fish full of dollars? Alright, yeah. But yeah, this episode's alright. It's got a couple good jokes, especially toward the end when they're reenacting the episode that didn't air. What did they call the episode again? Sexy Female Warrior, I think it was called. It was meant to be a... what was it? A parody of Ellie McNeil or something? Ellie McBeal? I don't know. Some fucking 90s, like, sitcom, I don't know. Fry in the Slurm Factory. I'd put that in A. That's a pretty good episode. Yes, this episode's basically a parody of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but it's chock full of good jokes. It's a very quotable episode. Right, so that's season 1 out the way. There's the ranking so far. It might be a little bit hard to read that. How long have I been doing this for? Like 10 minutes? Guys, we've still got a bunch to go. Are you comfortable? Have you got popcorn? Don't worry, if you get bored of this, you can watch Games Done Quick. That's live right now. Right, so Season 2, I second that emotion. I'd say this is a solid B episode. It's another good episode that establishes, like, some world building of the Futurama world, I guess. Namely, the sewers and the sewer mutants. And there's actually a bit of an Easter egg in this episode, because if you look very closely in the background at one point, you actually see Leela's parents. Which, at the point the show was airing, nobody even knew about that. They thought that she was an alien. Like, that was meant to be, like, one of the early mysteries of Futurama. So, that was kind of cool that the showrunners basically dropped that hint. And I think for the most part, most people didn't even realize until later. Right, next episodes. Brannigan Begin Again. I'll put this in C. This is one of the weaker Zap Brannigan episodes, but it's still got some good jokes in there. My favourite, like, one of the most quotable lines just being, you know, what are they called again? The guys who don't think strongly one way or the other? The Neutronians or something? I don't know. I have no strong feelings one way or the other. Like those guys. Sorry, the species name has escaped me right now, so I'm just going to move on. Ahead in the polls. I'd say B for this one. I would have put it in C, but I'm putting it up a little bit just because it introduces Richard Nixon into the Futurama series, which I know that sounds fucking weird for people who have never seen Futurama, but basically they make him like one of the many secondary characters in the series, or tertiary characters. If I don't survive, tell my wife hello. That's another good line. But yeah, this episode is, I guess it's politics focused, but it's not super in your face about it. Like, the whole thing is just about, oh, Richard Nixon is now in the running to be elected, so we have to stop him. But spoiler alert, at the end of the episode, they don't actually stop him. Like, he actually gets elected, and then that's kind of the status quo going forward, him just being president of the world. No, not America, Earth. Like, in 1,000 years in the future, like, all the countries in the world just consolidate into one super country. I guess you could say Super Earth. Right, Xmas story. I'd say this is a pretty solid A episode. Again, introduces more world building, namely the robot Santa, who is basically a murderer. Like, apparently his standards were set too high because of a programming error, so he basically, instead of like treating people if they're nice or naughty accordingly, he treats everyone to be severely naughty, and thus his like punishment, instead of giving them coal or some shit like that, he just murders them outright with explosives and guns. It's kind of a dark episode, but it's a really good one. Like, there's some really good jokes in there as well. It's a pretty good episode overall. Right, let's see. Why must there be a crustacean in love? I put that in D. It's alright. It's not terrible, but I am not too crazy about this episode, mainly just because it's focused on Zoidberg, and Zoidberg doesn't get a whole lot of good moments. But I do like the final set piece of that episode, where it's just Zoidberg and Fry fighting in the Colosseum due to a misunderstanding. There's some good moments in there, but other than that, there's nothing too special about that one. Lesser of two evils. C. I'll put that in C. It's a fine episode. Like, it introduces another robot, another bending unit called Flexo. And there was like a misunderstanding where everybody, well, Fry thought that he was evil compared to Bender, but it turns out it was the other way around. But yeah, it's a fine episode. Let's see. Put your head on my shoulders. B or C? I'm not sure which one to go with. I think I'm gonna put it on C. Again, good jokes, but not as strong as some other episodes. It does have a little bit of Zap Brannigan in there, but it's not enough, I feel. Raging Bender. I'll put that in C. Again, an episode that's got a lot of good jokes in it. Let's see, a Bicyclops built for two. I think I'll put this in B. I was close to putting it in A, but I do like this episode for trying to push the story forwards. Where, if you don't know what happens in that episode, like, Leela meets this guy who she thinks is like the last of their like Cyclops race, because she still thinks she's like an estranged alien that was abandoned on Earth. Then it turns out he's just a shapeshifter who was just like, you know, bringing her over to his planet just to like clean his castle or some shit like that. But yeah, it's a good episode and some good character building moments from both Leela and Fry, I feel, in that one. A clone of... what does that say? A clone of my own. Oops. Wait, where did I drop it? Uh-oh. Oh, it's over there. Sorry, I accidentally dropped it. One of my own. I'm going to put that in C. It introduces Qbert, Farnsworth's clone, but it's an episode that's fairly decent. It's got some good jokes in there. I'm going to say that a lot. Like, that's the thing that Futurama is, like, really good at. Like, it's got good jokes. Oh, that's very small text. How Hermes requisitioned his groove back. I am not sure. I think I'm gonna... Oh, geez. I don't want to be harsh on this one, because I do like this episode, but I have to ask myself, is it strong enough to be put in C, or should it go down to D? You know what, if I have to ask myself this question, it probably needs to go down in D. So yeah, I like this episode in general, and there is some genuinely funny moments in it. But the B plot, like Hermes just like, being temporarily suspended before he comes back to save the day in the end, not the best plot, but it's fine, I guess. It's not an episode that I would object to watching if it was randomly on TV. I will say some really fucking funny moments in there, like do a flip, like that's a classic line. The Deep South. I think I'm gonna put that in D as well. Don't really have much to comment on this one, but it's a fine episode in a vacuum, but there's not a whole lot going on. Bender gets made. What is this one about again? Is this the one with the robot mafia like enlisting Bender while Leela is temporarily blind? In fact, you know what? We can find out. Hang on. Thankfully, I've got this on hand in case I need to double check. So, Season 2. Bender gets made. Bender takes a new job in the robot mafia, but his loyalty is tested when he goes along the robotic gangster's efforts to rob Planet Express ship. Yeah. Trying to think about the jokes in that one, like, what specifically was really funny about that episode? Not too much as far as I can remember, honestly. I'll put that in D as well. Again, it's an episode that I can watch perfectly fine in a vacuum, but not a strong episode. Mother's Day. Yeah, the guy, the clamps. The clamps! Mother's Day. One of the weaker episodes featuring Mum. It does give you a bit more Futurama lore though, where like Farnsworth used to, go out with her like several years ago or some shit like that, but besides that, not a ton to that one. Problem with poplars. Okay, here we go. A or B. Notice that I've not put anything in S yet. We'll get to those. Oh, don't worry, we will get to those. You know what? I'm going to put that in A. That's a pretty solid episode. A lot of good jokes there. And the return of the Omicronians. Anthology of Interest. I'm going to put that in B. I do like the first two Anthology of Interest episodes. It's basically... like, think Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. It's just like 3 non-canon stories, and what were the 3 stories in the first one? It was oh shit, I'm trying to remember. One about Bender being 50 feet tall or something. The second one about Leela being impulsive, and then the third one about what happens if she found her true home. But she gets conked out, so it ends up just being like a dream sequence of her being in The Wizard of Oz. I think that was the 3 stories in that one. I think Anthology of Interest 2 is a little bit stronger, but it's still fun to watch. Where is the H words? I'm going to put that in... B or C? I'm going to put it in C. I'm not going to explain every episode because I would like to, speed things up a little bit here, because look how many episodes we still have to go through. We're almost done with Season 2, by the way, just 2 episodes left. The Honking. It's a pretty solid B episode. This is a good one. Bender, basically, it's like, a play on the werewolf sort of trope. But instead of, being attacked by a werewolf and turning into one, he got a virus transmitted to him that turns him into a car, so becomes the were-car. It's silly, but it's really funny, and there's some good moments in there as well. I feel like I'm saying the same things over and over, but that's the thing about Futurama. A lot of what I'm saying, even if it's the same thing, does hold up. It's applicable. Cryogenic Woman, I'd say that's a B episode. So basically, Fry, comes into contact with his ex-girlfriend who also froze herself 1,000 years ago. And then it causes problems basically for him in the present, 1,000 years in the future. So yeah, that's a decent episode. Amazon Women in the Mood. Easy A episode. This is a very fucking good one. A strong first episode for Season 3. Ton of good jokes in here. Here's the thing, and I'm going to bring this up again later. A lot of the episodes boil down to, just bare... it's based... A lot of the jokes... How do I explain this in a certain way? A lot of the jokes in this episode is about, I don't want to say sexism because that's kind of strong, but it's basically just, one sex making fun of the other sex for certain tropes and whatnot. But Futurama does it in such a way that I think is genuinely funny, at least for this episode. I'll explain what I mean by that later when we get to a certain episode down the line, but I think this episode is genuinely funny. Then the whole thing about, they introduced the word, so they all get stranded on a planet full of giant Amazonian women, and then they find out, there's a word that they use for sex, it's called snoo-snoo. And I just unironically find that the funniest thing ever. When they just mention snoo-snoo! But yeah, it's a good episode. Parasites Lost. S. Fucking S rank. Easily. Really good character development from Fry in this episode. I'll try to explain it as quick as I can. Basically what happens in this episode is that Fry eats a truck stop sandwich and gets these alien worm eggs in his stomach. And you would think, oh no, he's going to be sick or something. No, they actually make him near superhuman just because these worms that make the body stronger and healthier over time. Because of how they maintain the muscles and shit. But they also make him smarter as well, so he's basically no longer a fucking idiot, he's actually intelligent. And then it's he's actually, smart enough to actually confidently ask Leela out and go on a date. So it's okay, now things are actually rolling, he's actually being together with Leela and things are working out. But then he starts to ask himself, does Leela love me? Or does she love what the worms have actually made me into? So he basically tries to stop the worms himself. He has a little thing that... it's kind of a long story, but basically he confronts the worms and is hey, if you don't get out of my body to make me back to who I was before this happened, then I'm gonna kill myself. I'm serious, that's basically what happens. That's the short and dirty version, but... It's a really fucking good, character development, character growth thing for Fry, I feel. It's a very, very good episode. Tale of Two Santas. B or A? I'm gonna put it in A. Again, Robot Santa, so I'd say that always pushes the episode up in general. The Luck of the Fryrish. Here we go. Here we go. Another fucking S. One of the best episodes in the entire series. I don't want to, like, explain it from start to finish, but it is basically, like, this is going to be a trope going forward for select episodes. But it's like a story that's told in 2 segments, being split over time. Like, half of the story being told in the present, and then it will just randomly jump back to, like, scenes from, like, 1,000 years ago. Like, flashbacks to, like, Fry's past. That, like, kind of ties into the story. But the story they tell during that is really fucking good. And it kind of hits you in a way you wouldn't expect in the final few minutes of the episode. Because you, like, the first time watching it, you don't see it coming. I don't want to spoil it. Like, go watch Luck of the Fryrish if you've never seen it. It's a fantastic episode. Birdbot of Ice Catraz. I think I'll put that in B. You know what I just realised, guys? I ate popcorn, like, a fucking hour ago. And there's, like, a fucking, like, shell in the back of one of my teeth. I'm gonna have to, like, deal with that. Fuck. Sorry, that's gonna annoy me to no end if I don't. Let me get a toothpick. Hang on. I don't even eat popcorn that often, but every fucking time. Alright, I think I got it. Okay, let's continue. I fucking love when that happens. Bendless Love. I'm gonna put that in C. It's an alright episode. It reintroduces Flexo and the Robot Mafia, I guess. The Day the Earth Stood Stupid. Either B or A. Let me think about this. You know what? I'm going to put it in A, because it pushes the story forward, I feel. And also has, like, a pretty good, like, finale. In terms of the... Like, the final action set piece is pretty good. And, like, the twist at the very end of it, like, how they triumph over the evil brains is, like, kind of clever. The brain, I'm winning again! I am the greatest! Now I am leaving Earth for no reason! If you've seen the episode, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's Lobstertainment. E. I kind of agree with LS Mark. This is... When you really get down to the brass tacks of it, this is not the best episode. There is some decent jokes here and there, but not enough to... You know, it's basically a Zoidberg story. That's all you need to know about it. But hey, Calculon's in there. Cyberhouse Rules. What is this episode about again? Hang on. Time to do research. Season 4, Episode 3. Cyberhouse Rules. Oh, this one where she gets the plastic surgery to have 2 eyes, right. I'm gonna put that in... I'm gonna put it in B or C. I'm gonna put it in B. Where the Bugalo roam? C. I'm gonna drop that one in C. That episode is more focused on Amy and Kith, but it's got some. It's funny. I really got to stop saying it's got some good jokes in it. I feel like I'm using that to justify every episode. I'm not good with voice chat. Let's see. Insane in the Mainframe. Chat. I talked at the top of the stream about how I watched LS Mark's, like, Futurama rankings video. This episode, he really hated it. Like, he put it really low on his, like, ranking list. I strongly disagree with that. I'd say this episode goes into B. Like, I think this is a very funny episode. Like, he didn't like it. I don't know why. Like, I saw his review for it, and I was like, wait, really? You don't like this one? Like, he basically, like, talked shit about it during Season 3, and I think he put it, like, second to bottom, or, like, the very bottom of the Season 3 tier list. And then when he got to the very end, where he like puts all 140 episodes in the overall rankings, Insane in the Mainframe didn't even reach the top 100, and I was like, wow, really? You hate it that much? Alright. Like, I agree with most of his picks, but that one in particular, like, that one kind of threw me for a loop. But yeah, this one is really funny in my opinion. And it does have kind of a sweet moment at the end. With, like, Fry basically trying to sacrifice himself to, like, protect the others. And, you know, if it wasn't for that little bottle of oil that he put in his, like, inside pocket, he would have died in that moment when he was confronting Roberto. Also, Roberto is a great character. This episode introduces him. Like, Ellis Mark doesn't even bring that up, which is unfortunate, because Roberto is, like, a great character. Right, let's see. Next episode. The Route of All Evil? Oh, is this the Paper Route episode? Let me double check. Let's see, Insane in the Mainframe, The Route of All Evil. Yeah, I think this is the Paper Route one. Yeah, right, okay. So, this episode I'm going to put in... I think I'll put it in either C or D. I'm going to put it in D. It's not a super strong episode. It's an episode that's focused on Qbert and Hermes' son, who I think gets introduced in this episode, called Dwight. There's also, like, a B-plot about, like, Fry, Leela, and Bender making alcohol, but it's also done with the angle of, like, Bender being used as a surrogate to, like, make bootleg beer, and he becomes pregnant. It's fucking weird. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I just sounded like I made that shit up. Go watch the episode. I'm not. I promise you I'm not. Bender in the Wind. I think I'll put that in C. Not a terrible episode. It's funny. Time keeps on slipping. Ooh. I think I'm gonna put this in S. Just because of the ending to this episode. And it's also a really fucking funny episode to boot. Like, it's just joke after joke after joke after joke, and almost every one of them lands. But the last couple minutes of this episode, fuck, the last couple like, if you've seen this episode, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go watch it. Also, why did the music stop? Hang on a second. Huh. Why did the music stop? Let me fix that. If YouTube would be so kind. No, not this song again. 1 second. I'm trying to fix it. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. The YouTube player was stopping, so I had to, like, refresh it to fix the issue. Right, let's see. Next episode. I Dated a Robot. Let's see. Either B or C for this one. It really comes down to how many good jokes are there in this one. I'm gonna put it in C. I'm gonna put it middle of the roads. A Leela of Her Own. D. A Pharaoh to Remember. He didn't like Ellis Mark didn't like this episode too much. I thought this episode was pretty funny. But is it B funny, or is it still C? You know what? I'm gonna put it in B. I'm gonna be generous. I'll put it up there. Like, I kind of like this episode. It's a good Bender episode. Anthology of Interest 2. Now, do I put this above the first one, or do I put it in the same? Let's see. What were the stories for this one again? It was Bender becoming human. The one about, like, what happens if life was like a video game. What was the third story in that one again? I forgot. I'll put it in B for now. But yeah, the segment about, like, Bender becoming human, really, really good segment. I think that, like, I think that escalates it a bit for me. Right, let's see what we have here. Roswell that ends well. I'm gonna give this a... I'm gonna put this in C. It's a decent episode overall. Godfellas. A or B? I think I'm gonna put it in B. That was the one with the Wizard of Oz parody? Oh, right, the other one, the third story, was the fucking one, what happens if Fry didn't get frozen and went into the future, and then fucking Stephen Hawking shows up. Anyone want to play Dungeons & Dragons for the next quadrillion years? But yeah, I would say both Anthology of Interests are solid Bs. Future Stock. I'm going to put this in B as well. This is a good episode. Gotta love the Bonitis. 30% Ion Shift. This is a bit of a weaker... It's got some good jokes in it, but I'm going to put that in D. That's a bit of a weaker episode, especially since it's, like, Bender-focused. Right, so here's the list so far after 3 seasons. We're not even halfway done, chat. We've still got all this to go through. Right, let's see. Season 4. So we're now in the final season of the initial Fox run before it got its first cancellation. So, Kif gets knocked up a notch, don't ask. I'm going to put this in B. I feel like this pushes the story forward in some regards, in terms of, like... I hate to say it, but the greater plot of, like, Futurama. Like, I'm talking about it like it's One Piece, but they do make, you know, status quo changes every now and again. This is one of them, which eventually gets resolved when they get to the Hulu and Disney Plus series, but that's not going to be for a while. Leela's Homeworld. S tier. Do I even need to fucking consider this? Do I even need to, like, consider putting it in A? No, this is going in S. This is an amazing episode. They finally pay off the whole mystery of, like, Leela being an alien, and it turns out that her parents were, like, sewer mutants that, like, abandoned her to give her a better life. It's a very good episode. Love and Rocket. I think this is the one where Bender, like, dates the Rocket. Let me double check. I can't tell from that picture, so I'm gonna... Oh, so what song is this? Oh, it's Persona. Okay, hopefully this doesn't get me content claimed. Season 4, Love and Rocket. I don't see another picture besides this one. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, this is the episode. Right, okay. I'm gonna put this in C. There is kind of a sweet moment near the end of it, but it's not. It doesn't really hit you in the feels like some of the S rank stuff. Nowhere near it. But it's kind of a nice moment near the end. Let's see. Less Than Hero. This is a silly episode. I kind of like this one. I'm gonna put that in B. I feel like that's a... Like, they basically become superheroes. Don't ask. I'm not gonna explain the full context, but it's... I think it's a funny episode. Ellis Mark didn't think so, but this is one that I could watch every now and again and enjoy. A Taste of Freedom. The... Bender should not be allowed on television. I'm thinking about it. C or D. Kinda leaning toward B on this one. Yeah. I think I'm gonna put it in D. Oh! S. Jurassic Park. This is one of the fucking saddest episodes in the entire series. If you know, you know. Crimes of the Heart. I'm gonna put it in D. Teenage Mutant Layla's Hurdles. Silly episode title. I'm I'm gonna put that in C. I actually do like this episode for, like, one aspect of the series continuity. Like, this episode up here, like, time keeps on slipping. They actually mention about these particles called chronotons, which is, like, particles that can cause, like, time to skip if you're not careful with them, or they can, like, fuck up with the time continuum or whatever. This episode actually does mention the chronotons, or, like, subparticles of chronotons that, like, fuck up their ages in this episode, so I do appreciate that little bit of continuity in terms of, like, what's going on with, like, with things in that episode. The Wire Fry. Don't know if I would put this in S, but it's a really fucking good A episode. I feel that one pushes the story forward in a big way, and it also gives you one of the series' biggest reveals, where the reason Fry was sent to the future was because the entire, you know, delivery was orchestrated by Nibbler, because he needed Fry to go to the future in order to save the, Earth like 1,000 years from then. So yeah, it's a real good episode. I would recommend that. Where no fan has gone before. I'd say for the jokes in this one, and I'm not a Star Trek fan. I've never seen Star Trek before, although I would like to check it out one of these days. I can get into this as somebody who's never really gotten into Star Trek, so that kind of says a lot about how good this one is in terms of just like the humor in it. At least I feel so. Plus Leonard Nimoy. So Leonard Nimoy voicing himself as well as some other characters voicing themselves, so that's always a plus. The Sting. I think I'm going to put that in S. I was thinking about A rank, but then I realised this is actually a really good one. Again, if you know, you know. Oh my god. Guys, we got our first stinker. Ben-Hur is horrendously bad by Futurama standards. This is easily the worst of the first 4 seasons, by far. I hate this one. This one, every time this episode comes on, I just groan. Like, it's that bad. Oh, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to go into why I hate it. Like, just take my word for it. It's bad. It's genuinely bad. Let's see. What does that say? Obsoletely fabulous. I think this is the one with Robot 1X. I'm gonna put this in C. Middle of the road. The Farnsworth Parabox. I'm gonna put that in A. That's a really fun episode. Like, it's not an emotional episode or anything, but it's an episode that plays around with a concept as far as it can go, and it's, like, really funny while it's doing it. "300 Big Boys." I kind of like this episode a lot. Like, 300 Big Boys kind of reminds me of 22 short films about Springfield. It basically, like, jumps back and forth between several characters as, like, stories where they're, like, basically everybody in New York gets a $300 tax rebate, so it's like, okay, we're seeing how everybody is spending their money. It's really good. I think it's funny. Of course, who could forget, like, Fry spending it on 100 cups of coffee, and what happens when he takes the 100th cup. Spanish Fry. I'm gonna put that in D. The Devil's Hands are idle playthings. Do I even need to ask? Do I even need to fucking give it 1 microsecond of consideration? S. So yeah, being the original season finale, they had to go out with a bang, and my god, did they fucking go out with a bang with this episode. Like, it has a little bit of everything. So I think I'm a little bit... I think I'm about the halfway point. Let's see, how many have I put up here? I don't think it says. Okay, let's do some quick math. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14... 3, 4... 70, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 76 of these left, so I think we're about the halfway point, roughly. Right, let's see. So, after the first 4 seasons of Futurama, the show got cancelled. Like, it was originally airing on Fox. And then for a long time, it was just gone. And then, I think due to, like, the success of, like, DVD sales or something, they were like, you know what, we should bring this back. And so they made, like, 4 direct-to-DVD movies to basically test to see if the franchise was still popular enough to, like, bring back proper. So the next 4 are basically the 4 direct-to-DVD movies. Bender's Big Score. I'm gonna put this in A. This is a really good, like, one, like... Overall, the story in it, I'm not gonna go into the whole story, but I think it's a pretty solid return to form. Like, you know, after, like, several years of just being gone. And they bring it back with a really good story, and pretty like, it's a very complicated story as well. It involves time travel, and it does it in a way you wouldn't expect. And the twist ending, the twist at the end, genuinely caught me by surprise. Like, Ellis Mark saw it, but I personally didn't. Like, I didn't really see the twist until it happened. I was like, oh, so that's what happened. I have one nitpick about how Disney Plus handles the movies. Do they split them up into episodes? Because I don't like watching them as episodic. I prefer watching the entire thing. Like, I feel like, for those that don't know, the direct-to-DVD movies were like an hour and 20 minutes each, and the reason that was because they were planning to split them into 4 airable episodes at a later date. But when you watch the 4 episodes, it just feels really disjointed, and it feels like it's difficult to enjoy each episode individually. Like, you really have to watch them as a whole product, in my opinion. Like, I feel like it was made for that. The Beast with a Billion Backs. This one... This one's tough, actually. I'm thinking either C or D. Like, this one's got some pretty funny moments in it, and the conflict that happens for the first half of the movie can sometimes be pretty intense, but then it starts petering off once the threat turns out to not really be a threat at all, and then it ends up being, the story ends up going in a completely different direction, and it's not even that good of a direction. I'm going to put it in D. It's kind of a weak one, to be honest. Again, still got funny moments in here, but it's nowhere near as good as Bender's Big Score. Bender's Game, I'm also going to put this in D. My biggest problem with this, and I think LS Mark mentions this as well, is that it takes far too long to get to the good part, which is the part where the whole thing becomes Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, if they got to that a lot sooner, I would maybe push this up to C, possibly B, depending if they had enough jokes to, like, warrant it. But no, I'm going to put that down in D, just because it takes them far too long to get to that part of the... But I feel like they could have heavily truncated the first hour of the movie, and then that would have left them with, like, maybe, like, another 40 minutes of, like, time in the Dungeons and Dragons world. And it would have been a much stronger movie overall had they done that, but no, they didn't go that route. Into the Wild Green Yonder. I'm going to put this in B. It's not as strong as Bender's Big Score, but I do like the overall, like, the overarching story to this one. And they really raise the stakes by the end of it, and I do like the final 10 minutes where they basically get every single Futurama character in the background for, like, one scene where they're all, like, witnessing, like, you know, an event that's about to go down. So that part I like, and I also like the emotional stakes at the end as well. Like, it's pretty good. But yeah, I would say of the 4 movies, this is the best one. Ugh, my throat's getting tired. But I'm gonna stick it out. Let me take a quick drink. Hang on a second, chat. For some of Season 4, it's classified as 5 on there. Yeah, they kind of fuck up the season ordering. I don't know why they do that, to be honest. Right. Season 6, so this is the... So after the 4 direct-to-DVD movies, it turns out that they got their answer that yes, people want Futurama to come back. So rather than go back to Fox, they ended up commissioning Comedy Central to make the next couple seasons. So this is now what I would dub the Comedy Central era. Season 6, Episode 1, Rebirth. I'd say this is a solid B episode. This is a good, like, starting point, like, back after the 4 movies. Endagaga Dalila, which is a fucking weird name, but... I'm gonna drop that in C. It's a good episode with Zach Brannigan in it. How can you not have liked that? Attack of the Killer App. This episode has probably aged a bit, because it's basically just, you know, commentary on iPhones and stuff. Like, the product in the episode is quite literally called iPhone, E-Y-E phone. But I'm gonna be real with you, chat. I do like this episode, just because it made me laugh a lot when I first saw it. I don't know if it's aged particularly well, but I'm gonna be generous with this one and put it in B. The worst part of the episode, in my opinion, like, it's one thing to make, like, at the time, like, social commentary on smartphones and shit when they were brand new at the time. But it's another thing to make fun of Susan Boyle. Like, that has aged far worse, in my opinion. Like, that's aged like spoiled milk and then some. Yes, they do make fun of Susan Boyle. Remember when everybody was making fun of that, like, 15 years ago? Let's see. Proposition Infinity. I'm gonna put it in D. Not a particularly special episode. Have you noticed I barely went into E and F territory? Don't worry, those will start filling up as we go down the line. But the fucking, like, a lot of these are like B or stronger for me. That kind of says a lot about the quality of Futurama overall. The Da Vinci Code. Sorry, it's kind of hard to read that text because it's so small. I am going to put this in... kind of middle of the road, that one. I do like that episode. It's got some funny stuff in it. I'm just going to put it in the centre. Lethal Inspection. I think I'm going to drop this in A. This is a really good episode. Not good enough to be considered S, but it's close. It's actually a really close one, in my opinion. I would highly recommend you watch this episode. Oh, but speaking of S, immediately following that up, we get the late Philip J. Fry, one of the most standout episodes in the entire series. I'm not even joking. This one is phenomenally good. And then following that one up, we get That Darn Cats, which... do I even need to be generous enough and give this a D, or should I put this in E? That's the dilemma I'm facing right now. Like, this one's not that good. I'm putting it in E. Sorry. Like, here's the thing. It's not an awful episode, but compared to all of this, it's not as good. Clockwork Origin. I think this is the one with that meme, I don't want to live on this planet anymore. I believe... Yeah, this is the one where they go to that other planet and then they basically witness robot evolution and shit like that. That's an interesting episode. I'm going to put this in middle of the road. Put that in C. You're going to start seeing C, D, and E, and possibly F fill out as we go. Like, I like the Comedy Central era, but it can be very hit and miss. Same for the, you know, the Hulu and the Disney Plus era, which we'll get to eventually. The Prisoner of Benda. I'm going to put this in B. This is actually a really funny episode. This is a... Not only is it a really funny episode, but it's a very smart episode. because the entire concept of the episode revolves around a theorem or like an equation. And I don't want to get into the details, but you should watch the episode and you'll understand what the fuck I'm driving at. I can't even fucking read that. Let a considerable... You know what? Hang on. I'm gonna have to see what that's called. I can barely make it out because it's so tiny. Season 5... 6A? What the hell is this formatting? Here it is. Irreconcilable indifferences. That's a terrible fucking title. If you don't get why it's named like this, Lur is the name of that big, like, you know, Omicronian alien guy, and Inda is the name of his wife. But this is still a terrible fucking name. Jesus Christ, they should have named this something else. Anyway, this is kind of a middle-of-the-road episode. Maybe lower, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in D. The mutants are revolting. I'm gonna be... This is technically the 100th episode, and I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna put this in A, because I feel like this actually makes a major... It makes a major step forward in terms of, like, changing the status quo to, like, something new at the time. Which was basically that, like, up until this point, the sewer mutants were, like, outlawed to, like, go up to the surface. Unless they had, like, a permit from the government or some shit like that. Basically, by the end of this episode, they changed that law so that all the sewer mutants are free to, like, go above ground, and, you know, everybody is, like, equal citizens from this point onwards. Which I really like that change, because it means that, like, you know, Layla's parents can go up there and shit. Up and down and all around. The Futurama Holiday Spectacular. This is one of those 3 mini-story things, kind of like the Anthology of Interest, but it's like Christmas-themed or holiday-themed. Like, one's about Christmas, one's about Kwanzaa, and the other one's about Hanukkah, I think. And I think in each story, like, it's non-canon stories, like, each story ends with everybody dying. Like, all the Planet Express crew, they just all die by the end of each story. I'm gonna put it in D. The Silence of the Clamps. I think in this episode, Bender gets put in a witness protection program, and Nuss gets his memory erased and sent to, like, a different planet to, like, work with, like, a different set of people or some shit like that, and becomes, like, a farmer on the moon. But Clamps, you know, being the one who Bender did dirty by being the witness in, like, a trial or some shit, is out to get him, and he knows where he is. And then by the end, like, Zoidberg, like, actually stops Clamps. It's an alright episode. I'm gonna put it in C. Mobius Dick. I'm gonna put that in D. Everybody Dies, quite a way to end the Christmas special. Yep. Law and Oracle. Oh, fuck. I accidentally dropped it. Where did I drop it to? Ah, there. Sorry, I did. Sometimes I accidentally hit right-click when I'm trying to, like, use my middle finger to, like, use the mouse wheel. Because my mouse is shaped weird. Either B or C for this one. I'm gonna... Let's see... I'll put it in C. It's an alright episode, it's fine. Some good moments in there. Benderama. I need to double check what this one's about again. Hang on. Benderama. Let's see. Professor invents a machine that takes any object and creates 2 half-size copies. Oh yeah, this one, right. C or D? I'm gonna put it in D. Tip of the Zoidberg. Let me double check. Oh, this one, right, okay, the one with the Yetiism and stuff. I'm gonna put that in D as well. It's not terrible, even though I put it in D, but I don't think it's good enough to be C material. I feel bad for Zoidberg, because any episode where he's heavily featured, I put it quite low in the list. But I do like the dynamic of, like, Zoidberg and Farnsworth being heavily featured together, because, you know, if you watch the episode, you know what the story's about. Ghost in the Machines. This is a pretty decent episode for jokes. I'm going to put that in B. I like that one. Plus you get more Robot Devil voiced by Dan Castellaneta, so how could you not love it? Oh boy. Oh boy. Chat? I'm putting that in F. Like, fuck this episode. Okay, remember a while back... Where was it? Hang on. Remember a while back I said this episode plays around with jokes about, like, haha, this sex is inferior to our sex and stuff like that, but they actually make it funny, like they're actually good when they do it? This is like the polar opposite of that, where the whole episode has, like, you know, jokes about, like, one sex or the other being inferior because reasons. But it's fucking... It's just... It's groan-inducing. I fucking hate this episode. And then by the end of the episode, like, everybody changes, like, everybody's, like, genders swap, don't ask. And then the fucking, like, the joke at the end with, like, them all, like, all the male characters who turn female, basically posing for, like, a fucking sexy calendar or some shit like that, and then you see, like, I'm not even gonna describe it, but the part with Farnsworth near the end of that, no. I don't like that. Very bad episode in my opinion, like genuinely awful. Right, moving on from that. Yo, Leela. Alright, yeah, okay, I get the pun. I'm gonna put this in C. I think this episode's funny. Not super funny, but I think it's decent. And I do like the ending to the episode, where Leela just wants... Like, Leela is so overcome with guilt that she wants to be punished for, like, the misdeeds that she's caused, but she never does, and everything just gets worse and worse around her, and it's like, no, please stop! I kind of like that ending. Fry am the Eggman. I'm gonna put this in D. Which kind of hurts me, because this episode does feature a planet full of, you know, angry Scots. Which, you know, you'd think I would love that, but the episode isn't particularly strong overall. All the President's Heads. I'm going to put this in E. I'm not super crazy about this one. It plays with some time travel elements, but I don't like this one a whole lot, honestly. Cold Warriors. I'm going to put this in B. I think that's a pretty good episode. And it's one of those episodes where it, like, kind of bounces back and forth between the year 3000 and the year 2000. Like, when it flashes back to, like, Fry's adolescence. So those episodes, I think, are pretty decent, if not great. Overclockwise. I think I'm going to put this in B as well. This is also a pretty good episode, and this basically acts as the finale to the first season of the Comedy Central era, even though there's one more episode after this, because that one's a non-canon episode. This is like the last proper episode for that season, and I think it's a decent one to end out on. Reincarnation. This is like the non-canon 3 stories. It's basically Futurama in 3 different cartoon styles. I think the first one is like Rubber Hose, second one is like video game pixel art, like you can kind of see it in this thumbnail here a little bit. Then the third one is like Japanese anime, but like badly dubbed, like, you know, with like bad lip syncing and shit like that. I think it's an okay 3-part thing, but it's not particularly strong, but it's fun to watch. I'm going to be generous, I'm going to put that in C. Right, now for the next season, the second of the 2 seasons from Comedy Central's era, we're getting close, chat, we're almost done, we've got a bit to go. Are you tired? Because I am. The bats and the bees, the bots and the bees, sorry. Again, tiny text. I'm gonna put this in the not a very strong, like, season premiere. A Farewell to Arms. What is this one about again? Hang on. Sometimes I need to refresh my memory on this stuff. Farewell to Arms. Right, what's this episode about? Oh, this one, right, okay. The episode that's making fun of, like, the year 2012, the Mayan calendar, and, like, the end of the world and shit like that. I like this episode. This one's funny. I'm gonna put it in B. I'm gonna be generous with that one. Like, I think that's a pretty solid episode. And the fucking bit near the end, like, really fucking got me the first time. Like, the part where, like, Fry is reaching his arm out to, like, Leela to stop her from, like, basically dying due to, like, a cataclysmic event going on. But then they both end up ripping each other's arms off. They just go floating into space. Like, that caught me so fucking off guard the first time. I just laughed my ass off the first time I saw that. Right, okay, next one. Decision 3012. E. It's another politics episode, but unlike the one with Richard Nixon from, like, the earlier season, this one is very dry. I'm not too crazy about it. The best thing about this episode is that it acknowledges one element of the world building from one of the direct-to-DVD movies, which is, like, the time code for time travel. That's the only good thing about the episode that I can remember. Otherwise, I'm not too crazy about this one. What's this? The Thief of Baghead? Wait a minute, what's this one about again? Gonna have to refresh my memory on a couple of these. Thief of Baghead. Okay, Jurassic Tank. Bender tries to take a photo of them together, revealing that the actual film develops. Okay, he spends ridiculous amount of time just in details. Okay. After becoming a paparazzo, he's a Langdon Cobb. Who's this again? Oh, right, this dude. Okay, right, now I remember what episode that is. Sorry, it took me a minute to fucking figure out, wait, what's this episode about? This is a okay episode. I don't know if it's C good. I'm gonna put it in D. Also, nice remix going on in the background here. Zap Ding Bat. I think this is the one where he, like, dates Layla's mum. Let me double check. Yeah, right, okay. This is the one where he dates Layla's mum to get back at Layla. I think I'm not also going to put that one in D. You can start to see the Ds filling out a little bit here once the Comedy Central era begins. Like, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the Comedy Central era, but I can acknowledge that it can be, you know, there can be some misses as well as hits during these seasons. Okay. The Butter Junk Effect? F. That is a... I fucking hate that episode. That's like one of those episodes that I just... Whenever it's on, if it is on TV, I'll just begrudgingly watch it, but I'll not enjoy myself too much. The $6 Million Mon. C or D? I'm gonna put it in C because Roberto is also in this episode, and I feel like he escalates it just enough to get above D. But it's a fairly middle-of-the-road episode, but I do like the concept of that one. Fun on a Bun. Wait, what's this one about? I need to check again. Fun on a Bun. Oh, right, the one where they go to Oktoberfest. D again. Yeah, I'm starting to put a lot of these in D, I'm noticing. Let's see. Free Will Hunting. What's that one again? Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm just like kind of skimming through this. I don't remember this episode. Is there like other pictures of the same episode, or... The episode focused on Bender, who embarked on a quest about the meaning of life. This episode featured a return to Chapek 9, which was previously been explored in Fear of the Bot Planet. Chat, I don't remember this episode at all. Is this one any good? I may have to come back around to this one, but I think I'm gonna give it a pass for now. I honest to God don't remember that one. Near Death Wish. Oh, this is an episode about like Farnsworth's parents. Let me think about this one. Do I put it up on C or... I'm gonna put it in D. I'm not gonna be generous on that one. Again, I don't hate it, but it's not a particularly strong episode, even though it has a cool idea behind it. Okay, what else do we have here? Right, I'm just gonna move that to the back so that I don't keep looking at that at the front. 31st Century Fox. Oh yeah, this episode. Okay. I don't remember this episode too much, I gotta be honest with you. This may be one of those very forgettable episodes, but do I dare drop in E for that reason? Like, if I don't remember that much about, like, the episode in terms of, like, the jokes and the plot structure, like, I remember, like, the broad strokes of it, but I don't remember, like, beat for beat, so I'm gonna just drop it in E. Fuck it, I don't care. Viva Mars Vegas. I'm gonna put this in C. This is a middle of the road episode. Naturama. This is one of those episodes where it's like 3 non-canon stories. This time the theme is nature documentaries, and all the Futurama characters are like different like creatures. It's experimental. I'll put it in D. What does that say? 40% something? Hang on. Sorry, I can barely read that because the text is so small. %, lead belly. I think I remember this episode. Yeah, it's where he like does country singing, but everything he sings about becomes real. And like you don't find out why that's happening until near the end of the episode, but basically what's happening is he's wirelessly communicating to like a fucking 3D printer, so it's making jokes about 3D printing and like, oh, you can make anything with this. And he's like country singing about like I don't know, like a fucking like guy that's like that he cheated the wife of or whatever, like that wants to kill him or something, like that happens, and then he starts like trying to kill him. I think that's what happens roughly, but not a particularly strong episode. I'll drop that in D. A lot of D's I'm noticing. Hoodie Blacktop. Mm. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in D. You're gonna see a lot of Ds, I think, going forward. T, the Terrestrial. I remember this episode. It's basically E.T., but the roles have been reversed. Like, Fry is the alien, and, like, this little kid, like, the son of, like, Lure from Omicron on Persei 8. Like, he's basically the kid. I'm gonna put it in C. There's a couple good moments in that. Fry and Leela's Big Fling. What is this about again? Yeah, you're gonna see me do this a lot. I'm sorry. Not the most professional thing I know, but... Big Fling, here it is. Oh, okay, right, yeah. I remember what this episode's about. The Inhuman Torch. I'm gonna be generous with this one. I'm gonna pop that one in C. Saturday Morning Fun Pit. I remember this episode. I'm gonna be generous and put this in B because I remember LS Mark didn't like this episode a lot, and I can understand why. But it was an episode that got quite a few chuckles out of me, so I enjoyed it. It's not like it's just 3 non-canon stories, but this time the theming is that each segment is themed after a classic cartoon from the 70s or 80s, like during Saturday mornings. I think the first segment is Scooby-Doo, second segment is the Smurfs, and then the third segment is G.I. Joe. But the third segment is really fucking funny, because it starts with, like, G.I. Joe, and then it ends up becoming, like, oh, the fucking, like, the parents are, like, complaining to the government that it's too violent for kids, they shouldn't be watching this. So Richard Nixon's like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna go out of my way to dub over this show myself so that I can censor out all the violence and stuff. And that aspect of it is really fucking funny in my opinion. Like, I really like that part a lot. Here comes a water balloon! Okay, let's see. Calculon 2.0. I know it's got Calculon in it, but what happens in this episode again? I don't remember. Calculon 2.0. Sounds like 4Kids a bit, and sounds like 4Kids in a bit of a nutshell. Yeah, it kind of is a little bit, actually. It reminds me of, like, 4Kids One Piece in many ways. Let's see, Planet Express crew managed to bring Calculon back from the dead after he discovers he was replaced by all my circuits in the Vaxtron. Calculon stars in his own one-man show. This episode, I don't remember much of. Let me go into the gallery, let me see the pictures just to remind myself of this episode. I don't remember this episode, at least not that much. I'm gonna give this a pass for now, chat. Let me put that in the back of the pile for now. We'll come back to that if I feel like it. What's this? Assy Come Home. Assy Come Home. When Planet Express is hired to deliver a mystery crate to Pebbles Alpha, the planet of gangs, hustlers, and thugs, an allusion to director Melvin Van Peebles, or Peebles, Leela lets her curiosity get the best of her and opens a crate to discover that it holds weapons. She convinces Bender to disable them by holding their barrels and pretending that they are the necks of tiny humans. Okay. I don't remember this one either. Hang on. Let me just quickly check the gallery just to jog my memory on this one. So they prevent a gang war by, you know, with the episodes, but then Okay, I think I kind of remember this one, but not really. I kind of remember a little bit of it. Sorry, that episode's kind of like escaping me at the moment. But I think I'm going to put that back. I don't know how to feel about that. You think I would remember, but some of these episodes truly are that forgettable, I guess. Leela in the jean stock. The Game of Tones. I'm gonna be generous with this one. I'm gonna put this in A because the ending is really nice. Like, it's not as strong as an S tier episode, but I'm gonna be fair and say, you know what? Because of the ending, I feel like it deserves to be on the upper echelon of episodes. Otherwise, it's a fairly standard middle of the road episode, but the ending makes it for me. Murder on the Planet Express. I think this is where they go on that like team retreat to like become a better team of like people working at Planet Express. And then it turns into like a psychological like alien horror movie flick where everybody's being killed on the Planet Express ship one by one. It's a decent episode. I'm gonna put it in, I don't know, C or B. I'm gonna put it in B, actually. Like, it's a decent episode, and there's a couple moments where it catches you out quite easily, and then it like double catches you, and it's like, whoa, that's kind of like basically messes with your head a bit, like your expectations in that episode. I kind of like it. Stench and Stenchability. Again, Zoidberg, so I mean, they do have like a status quo for him where he actually gets a girlfriend because she has no sense of smell. Okay, here we go. Meanwhile, I'd say this is a really good finale to go out on. This is a very strong final episode for the Comedy Central era. And it definitely like gives you a very conclusive ending, yet it still opens it up for potential future episodes, which of course we ended up getting over the last couple years. But I'd say it's a really good one to go out on. Right, we're done with Comedy Central. A lot of D's I'm noticing building up here during this. And now we are coming up to the last two seasons, like the seasons from 2022 and 2023. Oh, sorry, 2023 and 2024. I forgot we just changed year. The Impossible Stream. You know what, chat? I don't know if this is me being unfair or not. I'm going to put that in F. This is kind of a bad first episode to come back to. Basically, this entire episode is revolving around this one joke, or I guess you could say commentary, about how Futurama keeps getting cancelled and brought back to life. Like, they keep hammering this fucking joke into the ground until it reaches China, and it's not funny the first time, and it's not funny the 50th time they do it. That alone makes this episode kind of bad. It's like, haha, guys, we're getting cancelled and we're being brought back, haha. And it's like, that's not smart or funny. Like, Futurama is better than this, in my opinion. So yeah, very bad start to the season. This episode I'm going to put on C. This is... Remember what I said about... where was it? Kif gets knocked up a notch. So basically he becomes, like, pregnant. And don't ask again. But yeah, basically he, makes, like, babies that has Amy, or, well, more specifically Leela's DNA. Again, don't ask, it's a long story. But the whole thing with that is that they say that the babies will not grow up until, like, 10, 15 years later. Which you would think, okay, they're never gonna, like, bring this up again in the future. But due to the nature of, like, Futurama being killed and brought back again and again, time and time again, they actually end up addressing it 10 to 15 years later, and this is the episode to do it. And you know what? It's not a bad episode. I kind of like it. So it basically introduces, like, 3 kids for Amy and Kif. And I kind of like that they actually like, addressed this because of like how much time has gone by between this and this. How the worst was 101. It's a bunch of binary numbers. Hang on. Let me just double check what this episode's about again. Oh, this one. Guys, would you believe me if I told you that this episode is providing quote-unquote social commentary on Bitcoin mining? And it's like the most basic joke you can think of. Hey everyone, we're going Bitcoin mining. And we're going to the mines with cowboy hats. Like, this is not a good picture, but basically they're going to, like, an actual mine. There must be a better picture. Oh my fucking god. I forgot about this fucking sign. Yeah, this is not a good episode. I don't like this one. E. It's not a true stinker like the F tier, but it's still kind of a bad episode, in my opinion. It's not good. What does that say? Paradise... Parasites regrain? I can barely read that, I'm sorry. I can't read it. Wait a minute. Where is... episodes... Parasites Regained. What is this about again? Hang on, gallery. Oh right, I think this was basically the Dune parody. I've never seen Dune. It didn't do much for me. So I'm gonna put that... I think I'm gonna put this in E as well. I think you're gonna start seeing E being filled out a bit more as we go forward. I do like Futurama, like, don't get me wrong, but sometimes the quality gets worse over time, unfortunately, which you think after long breaks they would still be good at it, but apparently not. Related to items you viewed, this is an episode just making fun of, like, Amazon. It's not a particularly funny or strong episode. I'm going to put that in E as well. I know what you did last Xmas, so this is like the last really... I don't want to say amazing Christmas episode, but it's a decent one. I think I'll put it up in either C or B. You know what? It's got Robot Santa. I'm going to be generous. I'm going to put it in B. It's got a little bit of time travel in it, and it, like, basically explains why Robot Santa was the way he is, and, like, it's kind of a long story, but I remember the episode being pretty fun. Like, I don't know if they did any Christmas episodes afterward. I don't see any, but... Alright, okay then. Right, we're almost done here. We've got a few more left. Rage against your vaccine. Oh no. Chat. This episode is bad. I don't like this episode. Based on the title, Rage Against Your Let me start again. Based on the title, Rage Against the Vaccine, I'm going to give you 3 guesses. What is the episode about? Keep in mind, this episode came out, like, 2023. It's about COVID-19, I'm not even kidding. Or, I mean, it's not about COVID-19, but it might as well be. It's basically a stand-in for COVID-19. And it, like, just makes the most basic jokes you can think of, like, the most bottom of the barrel. Like, it's basically season 35 Simpsons era jokes. Like, that's basically how bad this episode is. It's not funny, it's smart, it's not smart. It's like, Futurama is better than this, but apparently not with this one. And there was one joke in there that genuinely fucking pissed me off in how bad it was and how badly written it was. So it's like, they have this whole pandemic going on, right? And then in the middle of the episode, it's like, okay, we've got the vaccine to, like, deal with this now, so we should be good. And then the Omicronians come down to Earth for some reason, and then they catch the virus, and then they start spreading it. But oh no, because it's coming from the Omicronians, it's mutated. It's become the Omicronian variant of the virus, and it's like, no. Come on, Futurama's better than this. Fuck off. No. Why did they make that joke? It's not funny. That is the reason why I'm putting it in F. Like, that one joke, it's surrounded by a bad episode, of course, but I don't like that episode at all. It's not good. Zap gets cancelled. E. I mean, with an episode called Zap Gets Cancelled, do I even need to say much? Not a particularly strong or funny episode. The Prince and the Product. I'm gonna be generous and put that in E. I was thinking about F, but I don't think it's as bad as these 5 episodes, but it's still pretty bad. It's like one of those 3 mini-story things, but it's not even that good. All the Way Down. What's this one about again? Hang on. All the Way Down. It's the last episode of the first season of this era. The Planet Express crew investigates whether the universe is a simulation. Oh, right, okay, I remember this one. For a soft finale to this particular season, it's kind of middle of the road. It's not a very strong episode, but not terrible either. But the way it ends is kind of not the best note, because it's... You usually expect like kind of a finale episode to have like a really strong ending. This one does not, so that's why it's going in C. But the concept up until that point was fun. The One Amigo... Okay, this episode, chat, I shit you not. This episode, right? This episode came out in 2024, summer 2024. So less than a year ago, about 8 months back. This episode, in the first 2 minutes, maybe even the first minute, they mention NFTs. That's all you need to know about how bad this one is. It's not a fucking good episode. I don't like this one. Like, the A plot or the B plot or whatever, like, I think it becomes the B plot because it's got less focus on it, but basically one of the plots to this episode is just, you know, talking about NFTs and how you own it, but you do not own it if you sell it or whatever, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna try and steal this, and it's like, oh, you cannot steal it because it's in the blockchain. I'm not even kidding, chat. Like, this sounds like I'm making it up. Go watch the episode if you don't believe me. That's actually what the episode is like for half of it. It's a stinker. It's fucking awful. And then the B plot is like something about like Bender's heritage, which sounds interesting, but there's not a whole lot of meat on the potatoes, to be honest, so... the episode overall was not good, unfortunately. Quids Game. I'd say this is a solid B. This is a decent episode. It's one of those episodes that kind of plays with, like, briefly showing you snippets of, like, Fry's past during his adolescence, like, back when he was with his family when he was a kid. And, yeah, a lot of the episode is parodying Squid Game, if you couldn't tell by the title, but it's a pretty good episode overall, and I do... The ending is emotional, but not, like, S-tier emotional, but it's still a decent episode overall. Like, I enjoyed that one. The Temp. This one's kind of interesting, actually. I'm going to put that in C. So basically, this episode is about, like, a temporary delivery boy who, like, fills in for Fry when he's, like, dealing with, like, mental anguish over, like, one delivery. And then everybody just ends up forgetting about the Temp because he's such a forgettable person. And it's like, oh, we're going to go on a mission now. And then they end up, like, leaving him behind on the planet for, like, 20 years because they fucking forgot about him. Not just because, you know, they forgot to pick him up, but it's just like, oh, he's a forgettable person, therefore they forgot him. It sounds dumb, but it's kind of funny. I like it. When I say 20 years ago, like, the part where they forget about him takes place, I think, around the time of the Amazonian episode, like Season 4. and that was like 20 years ago. I think 15, 20 years ago. The Beauty and the Bug. What's this one about again? Hang on a second. Season 11. Episode list. Wait a minute. Does this really not show the rest? Wait. Season 8 all the way down. Okay, for some reason the pull down list doesn't like let you see it, but... Oh, by the way, chat, if you don't believe me what I said earlier... Hang on a second. Check this out. Wait, where is the... Synopsis! After Bender sells an NFT representing the concept of Bender, he feels lost and returns to his ancestral village in New Mexico to rediscover himself. So yeah, there it is right there, NFTs. No. Like, let me go into the gallery real quick. Sorry for like going off on a tangent. Oh, there's no pictures here. Good then. I guess nobody gives a shit about this episode, huh? Right, quiz game. I'm gonna have to like jump through it this way, right? Temp. Beauty and the Bug. What's this episode about again? Bender becomes a matador in the sport of bug fighting. Alright, this episode is kind of an episode. This is a pretty forgettable episode. I'm gonna put that in E. One is silicon and the other is gold. What is this about? Leela becomes friends with a jealous chatbot. Have you noticed a pattern with these more recent episodes where they're just, like, people shit on that one episode making fun of the iPhone, but that was just one episode making fun of relatively modern technology at the time. This season is chock full of these. It's like, oh, Bitcoin mining, oh, NFTs, oh, chatbots. Next it's going to be AI. I promise you, like, sometime this year they're going to make an episode about, like, AI technology and, like, image generation and shit. But that's what's going to happen. I bet you that's what's going to happen. Anyway, this episode, it's not terrible, actually, you know, despite what it sounds like. But it's not particularly strong either. I'm going to put it in D. I don't think it's E bad. Attack of the Cloves. I'm going to put that in D. Right, we're in the final stretch, chat. We're almost done. Planet Espresso. D. What's interesting about this episode is that they actually, like, bring up a new part of Futurama lore, like Hermes' father, which they end up promptly killing off, except they don't really kill him off. He becomes, like... He becomes reincarnated as like a coffee tree. Don't even ask. Like, watch the episode if you don't understand what I mean. But it's a weird episode. Like, there's not a whole lot to it. But basically, a lot of the episode is just talking about like how great coffee is, even though I personally don't like coffee. Cuteness overloads. Either C or D. I'm thinking... I'm gonna put it in D. The Futurama Mystery Library. So this is like the final of the 3 mini-story kind of things. This time it's themed after 3 classic pieces of literature. Tintin is one of them. And I do like the art style for that one. I forgot what the other 2 were, to be honest. One of them is like a really old book. I mean, they're all old books, but you know what I mean? Like a really, really old one. You know what? Let me just quickly check. Hang on. I keep forgetting that pull down doesn't have the latest season, so I need to like just do it this way. Cuteness overloads. Mystery Library. Wait, really? They have no information on this one? What do you mean? Hang on a second. Mystery Library. That's fascinating that wiki doesn't even have any information. Like, nobody gave a shit. So yeah, this is like one of the one of the books. But I forgot what the book itself was called. I will say I do like the backgrounds to this one, whatever book they were basing it on, because you know it's got that kind of like cross-hatched shading sort of thing going on, which looks neat in Futurama style. Okay, here's the Tintin one, like Fry himself being Tintin, and I forgot what these guys are called, like the detectives or something like that. I haven't seen or read Tintin in a million years. I remember the cartoon from the 90s, vaguely. But I do kind of like this art style. So if nothing else, it's fun to watch. I like that Layla is fucking Captain Haddock, and she's got one eye still. Oh, that's right! Fucking Zoidberg was snowy. That was kind of funny. I like that. And then this one was... I guess that was the book? I don't remember what book this is based off of. Alright, the Hardy Boys, right. Well, you get the idea. Not a particularly strong mini-story thing. I'm gonna put it in D. Right, here's the most recent episode. This is the final one. Otherwise. So, in terms of like a finale, not the strongest one, but I do like the ideas that this episode plays with, where it kind of like hints at the idea of like multiverses and like how timelines are being split, and a lot of the characters don't even realize it, but Fry might actually get a bit of an insight into like things are not as they should be because the show keeps getting cancelled and like rebooted. Because he, you know, at the end of what was that other episode called, Meanwhile? At the end of Meanwhile, he basically went back around again after like living through like the last few years of his life. And it was like, wait, I've been here before, I've done this, wait, what's happening? That kind of aspect I like about the episodes. But in terms of an overall product, it's not the strongest finale. And if the series was to end here, I wouldn't say it's as good as an S tier episode. But I still kind of like it. I'm going to put it in B. Right, see these 3 episodes? I gotta be honest with you, chat. I don't remember these 3 that much, so I think I'm going to give these 3 a pass. I'm sure nobody's going to be too upset if I exclude them from the list. You'll understand. But yeah, here's the final list. Let's start from the bottom. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it a bit better. Let me just... Well, you can't see the letter there, hang on. Okay. So here's the final list, starting from F. You've got these. These episodes are truly rank, like they're real fucking bad. I'm not even fucking with you, like... Do not watch these. Just avoid these episodes in particular. These episodes are highly mediocre, not very good. Some good jokes here and there, some decent stuff, but not particularly very good episodes when you really get down to the brass tacks. But they're episodes that I am fine with watching. Like I find them watchable. Good episodes. Great episodes. Really great episodes, like fucking fantastic episodes, and then of course, the best of the best. I think the episodes I picked for S tier is probably like universally agreed upon. Like, I think everybody thinks these are all the best episodes of the series. If I had to order them from best to worst, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to order them from best to worst. Let's see. Which one would I put at the very top? Look of the Irish, I think. I think I'll put this one second. This one third. Put that there. That there. You know, I'm going to put that up a little bit. I'm going to put that there. Time keeps on slipping, and this thing. I don't know why I'm ordering these. Like, I'm not going to do it for all of them, just the S tier because it's a very short list. But I think I would generally sit on this order. Like, if we're going from left being the cream of the crop, and then this one being, you know, still amazing, but less so, but still amazing. Like, don't get the wrong idea, don't misconstrue it. But yeah, I would say Luck of the Irish is probably, like, triple S tier. Like, this is, like, as good as you can get. But yeah, all of these, I would recommend watching all of these episodes up here. And if you have time to spare, watch these ones as well. And then maybe the B ones. Don't watch F. Right, that's going to do it. I'll just show you the overall list here. If you can even read that, you probably can't. But there's the entire list from top to bottom. I guess this will be the thumbnail. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for listening to me ramble about Futurama for like... God, have I been streaming for 2 hours? Oh, fuck. I thought this was going to take like 60 minutes. Well, I might have to change the second... I might have to change the game tonight. I don't think I've got the energy to do Mario and Luigi for the next few hours. Oh, man. I'll figure that out in a moment, but yeah, here's the entire list. Yeah, let me just download this for later use. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, let me just hop into my download folder to snatch that, and yeah, here you go. There's the entire list. Anyways, thank you for listening to me ramble on about Futurama. This was kind of fun to do. I don't normally do these kind of things, like I don't really do tier lists, but I have such a deep love for Futurama that I felt like it was worth doing it for this at least. I think it was kind of a fun thing to try out. But I think next time I'll do a tier list that's maybe not going to take me 2 hours to do. I didn't think it was going to take that long, to be honest with you, but I did it. I did the whole thing, you know, save for the 3 at the bottom here. I'm just going to omit these ones. You know what? Just so everything is square, add to row below. Oops. Sorry, caps lock was already on. Don't remember. Oh, wait a minute. Ah, fuck. Oh, this is a disaster. Bear with me a second while I fix this, or try to. Why? No One Piece tier list? Maybe if I was ranking the story arcs, I could do it, because if I was to do each episode, I'd be here all fucking, like, I'd be here for the next 3 years. I think I fucked this up, chat. Wait a minute. Close that. Why? Sorry. Wait. What the fuck? Okay. No? Yeah, up. Sorry, this website is not playing nice with me right now. Right, there we go. Right, and then if I do this, change that to white. There we go. Sorry, I had to refresh the page to fix that. It was not changing the right column or row. Right, so we'll just put these 3 in there. Fuck it, I don't care. Put them in order, I guess. Yeah, that's the right order. Okay, then. Right. Save. Download. Again, for later use. So there's the entire list. So I hope you guys enjoyed the last couple hours of this. You probably didn't, but if you did, then thank you for watching. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do a game in a little while, because I thought this was going to take a little bit less time to do. I'm going to figure that out in the next couple minutes. But yeah, that was the Futurama tier list. I'll have to see if I can find other things to check out in terms of tier lists. Probably won't do them super often, but it's something fun to do every now and again.